Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we're looking at Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the sequel to the very successful Five Nights at Freddy's. A year after the event at Fazbear's, Abby, Mike, and Vanessa struggle to move on, and when a new threat arises at the pizzeria, they yet again have to fight it. So, that was kind of like a really rushed one, because... Who's messaging me? Okay. I have thoughts about this. I do. Now, as you may know, I am a massive fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, look up there. The series means a lot to me. And that first movie, while I do realize how flawed it is as a film, and I can't dislike it. I can't dislike it. I still love it so much because of how important it is to me and how important it is to my identity and what it means. Because I've been a fan of the series ever since the third game, or even as far like I've been a fan of this series since it came out, and I think that yeah, that's pretty much just it. I've played the second game relentlessly. It was my first one actually that actually got me into the series. So as you may know, this one might actually hold some more value to me, but so yeah, this one is based off the second game, which makes sense. It is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, bringing in the toys and the wizards and the puppet and all of those elements and whatnot, while also trying to expand upon the lore. How is it? I didn't hate it. I can definitely say that I didn't hate the movie, and I overall had a really fun time with it. Fun time, Freddy. FNAF 2, however, is being very hated on. Critics think this movie killed their fucking grandma or whatever, and are bashing the shit out of this with an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, and they're overreacting. I don't want to dismiss what critics have to say, because, I mean, I'm a critic and whatnot. I don't want to dismiss what critics have to say. I think it's important that we listen to them, but there are times where it's like, yeah, you guys are overreacting here. This movie isn't terrible by any means. And I mean, I see, oh, this is what's setting video game movies back. It's like, my brother in Christ, Minecraft came out this year, and we want to shit on this film because Minecraft was obviously, like, objectively a terrible movie, whereas this is trying to be a good movie, but it's a lot more flawed than the first. Whereas, like, again, the first one had flaws, and that was mainly that it was hard to get into as a movie if you aren't a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. This one pretty much just says, yeah, no, if you don't know the Five Nights at Freddy's series, get the fuck out of here. This is for the fans. And I think that's fine for that to be the case, for this to be a movie strictly for the fans. Because, I mean, like, come on. Yeah, these are the guys that built this series and helped push it up. Reward them with this, and who cares about what the casuals have to say? I mean, why are you going to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie without having knowledge on the Five Nights at Freddy's property? But, like, while I do agree that I think it's okay for something to be for the fans, this movie suffers that it seriously struggles to pace things well, actually letting things flesh out instead of rushing from plot point to rush plot point. But let's get into what I did like about the movie, because again, I didn't hate it, and there is quite a lot that I actually do like about the movie. That being, as a major FNAF fan, it's a massive treat watching these. It respects the source material well enough, but it makes a few major changes from the source material and whatnot. Um, Mainly with one character. Oh my god, what's going on with my hair here? With one character, which I'll get into more in the spoiler section. And it was, again, it's mainly a treat seeing the animatronics from the game in live action. And oh my god, they look fucking phenomenal. Whenever Toy Chica here shows up on screen, I literally looked at my friend and was like, oh my god, it's like she's real. It's like she's truly there. They look phenomenal. The Jim Henson Creature Company did such a perfect job on translating these characters. Even more so here. I think these guys look better than the animatronics in the first movie, because the first movie's animatronics are great as well. It's just truly phenomenal adaptation of what is in the game. From the wizards to the puppet, I really like how the puppet looked, to Balloon Boy. I think they did a phenomenal job with the designs, with not straying too far from the source material. In fact, yeah, no, these are pretty much just what these guys would look like in real life. Even though it's people in suits, I feel like these are actually killer animatronics. And that's another thing. I like that this movie dived more into horror. A lot of people complained that the first movie wasn't scary enough, and while you being scared is kind of an objective thing, no, kind of your opinion, like, oh, that's whatever. Are you scared? You could be scared by many things. Spiders scare me, but they don't scare others, right? It does purposefully intend to actually be much more of a horror movie. The first film barely played into the scares of it, and here it's kind of generic. It's that generic Blumhouse horror that whatever. It shows that they did listen to that criticism, and they do push the boundaries of PG-13 a lot more in this film. I think the lack of gore was completely fine in the first film. Five Nights at Freddy's is a series that doesn't need to have Saw level like gore or whatever, but here they definitely push that boundary a bit more, and kind of wish this tone would be well. It doesn't need to be rated R. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 should be rated R." Well, no, this series has a young player base, and even then, the games were intended with a teen audience, rated T for teen. So, while the games they will definitely have their blood and guts at times, like the spring locking in the pixels or the death game over screens. I mean, like again, it doesn't need to be super gory, but here it definitely does push the boundaries, and it's mainly sound effects. It's just like, yeah. The voice acting for the animatronics here as well are fantastic. Not really a spoiler because they were announced, but I'll mention it briefly, and that's the voice acting for the toys. It's pretty decent and natural. Um, Kellen Goff voices Toy Freddy here, right? I forgot he actually did have a voice in Ultimate Custom Night, but Toy Freddy here, it's his Freddy voice. It's kind of what you'd expect for Kellen. It sounds like Freddy. Sounds like Glamrock Freddy. Which I think is fine. And then we get to Megan Fox's Chica, and a lot of people were worried, myself included, about how she would do it. She did a great job, surprisingly. Her voice and the voice she gives her perfectly matches what you'd think Toy Chica's personality would be. And Toy Chica is a major highlight of this film. Surprisingly, she is put on the forefront a lot. And sorry, these guys are so dusty. They've been on my shelf for years, and I gotta probably throw these in the wash or something. Cause look at that, look at her. This plush is also great. I love it. But surprisingly, that wasn't Matt Pat. There's no way that was Matt Pat because he's unrecognizable as Toy Bonnie, which I think is a great thing. That just means he did like a great job as Toy Bonnie. The only one who I think kind of gets shafted is Mangle. He'll leave your brain scrambled. She doesn't really show up that much in this film, and while it just feels like he is seriously underused. She is also noticeably CGI, which makes sense because of how he is. And I do like that we get an actual official Toy Foxy design in this film, which is a first in the series. And also, they just straight up call him Foxy. They never refer to her as Mangle, or you get the fucking joke I'm doing here, right? You get it? I thought they'd poke fun at the gender ambiguity there, because that was like it was a whole thing. Like, oh, what's Mangle's Gender. I always refer to Mangle as a girl. I just think it makes sense, but I don't know. Maybe Mangle is a non-binary king or queen or whatever. What would you call that? What would you call that? Let me know. The Wizards too, I think look phenomenal, but my major issue is that they are seriously underused, and they're only in one scene, and that one scene is fucking phenomenal. I think it's like one of the best scenes in the movie. It's great. The marionette is the main villain. The puppet, she is the main focus and main conflict of this film. And I think the way they handled her and Charlie, or Charlotte, that kind of storyline there, I think was good. A lot of people complain about it, but I think the way that they handled the marionette is one of the better aspects of the film. And that's another thing. They expand upon the lore a lot more and introduce more elements from it. For example, we actually get to see William Afton in his workshop with the designs for it. Because the way that the first movie set things up really made you think that this could very well just be some random serial killer who was just around Fazbear's. Kind of like what you'd think from normal. What you'd think before all the William Afton shit came out, right? You'd think that they may not make him the founder of Freddy Fazbear's, but no, here they do fully dive into that, and it's great to just see him in his like little getup and whatnot. And it's great to see the past of Freddy Fazbear's. They also introduced two very important characters. You might know who they are if you're a fan, because I mean it's pretty obvious who they are. But yeah, it's cool. And it's also cool seeing the actual visualized depiction of the yellow rabbit, like in his crimes. Him actually luring the kid into the back room. It's cool to see the Yellow Rabbit's crimes actually depicted, seeing him lure the kids into the back room and whatnot. And again, well, not again, this is the first time I'm mentioning it. That intro scene is fucking phenomenal, and I think it is absolutely great. And that's another thing I like about these movies is that it gives you a visualized depiction on iconic moments from the games. Like, yeah, we did see a spring locking scene in the books and whatnot, but it's cool to see that play out in real time. The score is also absolutely beautiful, especially the main theme, which they expand upon a lot more. And that whole intro kind of credits theme is great. I absolutely love it. It's so thumping. And sadly, that's where a lot of my praise ends for the movie. Look, again, I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. It's flawed. It is so much more flawed though, and I just can't defend it like that. The characters, I don't buy into Mike and Vanessa's relationship, and it goes into an absolutely dumbass way in the end. They like the way that their arc ends in this film it feels so forced and unnatural. I'll get into it in spoilers. The acting is also a lot more noticeably weaker. The way that lines are delivered are so awkward, and I don't mean to harp on Piper Rubio because she is just a kid, but I really didn't like the way that she delivered her lines. Like, I went to Fazbear's. That's kind of what I was getting from her, and it just was so off. And this movie feels like it has to explain everything to you, and this is where it gets conflicting on the whole for the fans argument. It's okay that the movie is for the fans, but if you are making a movie for the fans, why are you explaining things that the fans would already know? There is a twist at the end involving a character that if you are a strict fan of the games, a diehard fan of the games, like these movies are advertising themselves to be, then okay, I get it. It's a movie and it like makes sense to do that. And if it was like I'm trying to think here because it also is twisting thing. It's giving these twists as if like they're made for the people who didn't know it, but you're saying these movies are for the fans. I get it. You can't just introduce the character. I'll get into it in spoilers, but what I'm trying to say here is that it feels like it's explaining things that the fans already know to you. Like, yeah, these are the withered animatronics. They were the animatronics that came before the toy animatronics, and that's what it felt like. Vanessa was explaining and just explaining the whole game mechanics and whatnot. It's like, okay, put the mask on to hide from the animatronics, and it's a lot of tell, don't show storytelling that it feels like it just holds your hand through the way, and just it's so much exposition and just too much exposition. It's for the fans, yet it explains the entire lore like it's a movie not for the fans and trying to introduce newcomers into it. But you're claiming it's for the fans. Not even it just full on minutes of explaining what these animatronics are and what their goals are, and instead of letting things play out naturally. Again, the wizards are underused, and in fact, a majority of the animatronics that aren't the marionette or again oddly toy Chica are barely get used. And the marionette, again, has a massive change that kind of contradicts something, which again, I did like that change, but The toys are front and center, yeah, but they clearly favorite one over the others. I mean, Toy Bonnie only gets like 2 lines, and they also, again, I hate. I don't. Okay, no, I'm gonna say it. I hate the way they handle these very important characters from the lore. Like, the idea of introducing them is exciting. These are characters we know and love, but the way they are executed is just so rough. I hate one more than the other. They have barely any screen time. One of the characters shows up and then literally never shows up again until the very end. And again, the way they play it off is kind of obvious. And I guess to say it, part of that is just how the character looks, which isn't the actor's fault. They casted him because he looked like that, but the way he looks is very often very like easily like, yeah, no shit. And again, his outfit, and again, try to take a guess who I'm trying to talk about here without spoiling things. I will say this though, despite how I don't like the execution about how these characters went around, they casted some phenomenal actors, and the scenes that they have, I do think they are played off really well. Yeah, I mean, again, you know who I'm talking about. I mean, we could all enjoy this movie, right? Except for a certain group of people. You know who I'm talking about. Overall, before we get into spoilers, I did like FNAF 2. I did have a very fun time with it, but unlike the first film, I can point out the fault laws of it, and I wouldn't get so defensive about it. I think it's okay for things to be for the fans, but they don't embrace that enough for this to be a good excuse for it to only be for the fans. While FNAF fans will get a major kick out of this film, I know I did. Overall, as a movie, it's terribly written. It's a bad screenplay. That's what it is. It's a bad script, bad screenplay. Characters are unnatural, and I mean, again, I didn't hate it. I really liked it, and I don't have much. I don't know. I'm gonna just give it a C. All right. All right. Now let's get into spoil. Come on, what the fuck are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here? Let's get into no, that's Diet Phantasma. Forgot to change that. Let's get into spoilers. All right. All right, Henry and Michael. Those are the characters that I'm talking about. That I'm trying to hide, but you already knew. I think it's great to see these two again. I just think Michael gets it the worst here. When they introduce him, he's like, "Oh, my name is Michael. But you can call me Mike." And it's like, there's another Michael, and he's wearing purple, and he has very devious looking eyebrows, and there's only one other Michael in the lore. I wonder who this is. It's Michael Afton, the only other Michael from the, like, again. And they don't play it off. They don't build up to that twist whatsoever. It's actually the same issue with the Yellow Rabbit, Steve Raglan being William Afton in the first movie. And it's, again, this is probably where it faults to be a fan of the series, because, yeah, no shit, this is obvious. Matthew Lillard, a guy known for his role as Stu Macher. I wonder who he is. You know the twist, and that's why it as a twist doesn't work, because as a fan you see this guy Matthew Lillard, right, as William Afton or Steve Raglan, and you're like, yeah, that's William Afton. That's who William Afton is. I'm a diehard fan. He's done this in the books before, trying to disguise himself as Dave, and there's no build up to this Michael Afton twist, right? It's like I mentioned, same issue with William Afton. Man, maybe the Aftons just have shit twists, huh? Because even Vanessa, man, the Aftons are dumb in this universe. We meet the character early in this, like, I don't know. Speaking of Matthew Lillard, it is a crime that Henry and William do not share a scene together. In like a flashback, or even like, again, so Mike goes to Henry's house to talk about Charlotte. And again, the way they play it off, like, this is Charlotte's dad. So, yeah, that's Henry Emily. He worked with William Afton. They don't. It's so underwhelming on how they use him. It's like like again. It's great that we see more of Fazbear as an establishment and like what it originally was. And again, that opening scene depicting Charlotte's murder is great. I get what they were trying to do with Henry and where they're gonna go from things there. And Skeet Ulrich plays him. That's a phenomenal choice, especially due to the whole Scream connection with the two. But back to Michael, real quick. I'm seriously disappointed with how they handled him. His motives and goals were dumped onto you just super fast and all at once, and the ending is genuinely the worst part of the movie. But before we get to that, um, people are not actually happy with the depiction of Michael Afton in this movie, and that is the characterization. And I didn't even think about it that much, but Michael Afton's a good guy in the games. He is. What is he? He's the. God, this I don't think this was ever explicitly stated, but he's the main security guard throughout all of the games. Kind of. Not the fourth one. I think the fourth one was his brother and whatnot. So it's. I'm mixed on it. I'm super mixed on it. I think him being evil in this. God, it's just so weird. I'm trying to think. It's so weird that we see Michael Afton and it doesn't feel that special. Like, that is literally Michael Afton on screen. I don't feel anything about it. And that's actually what makes it so disappointing. And this ending is so fucking rushed, honestly. So the toy animatronics are closing in on these guys. And then we get an Avengers style end scene where the animatronics from the first movie come in and kick their ass. What the hell? It was funny in the moment, but let's actually take a minute to think about this and realize that is a Deus Ex Machina, kind of. I mean, they did set it up early, right? But it just feels so like, oh no, the good guys came here to save them at the very. It's so rushed, and since they power off, and the dialogue here is like, do I get to go to hell? Like, and this is another thing that when I was writing the script actually pisses me off. Their souls, I think it's implied that their souls are now free from the animatronics. That is a very impactful moment from the games, mainly FNAF 3 with the whole like ending with the masks and whatnot, and that oh they're actually free from the animatronics. And here it is speedlined so through, and then this is probably the worst part of it. Which is strange to think. Mike rejects Vanessa here. He's like, "Go away, I don't trust you," which makes sense because Vanessa has been withholding holding information from Mike for a majority of it. But here, there's no build up to this at all. It's literally just like, oh, here's my brother that I've been having. And they barely have any conflict in the movie to even lead up to this. And yeah, Vanessa has. There's like one scene where Mike is arguing with Vanessa about trying to move on, right? And they're like, well, for the most part, they're on buddy buddy terms. They even go on a date, right? And again, there's only one scene with them having an argument, and then here it's like, Vanessa, fuck off. We don't want you anywhere near us, Vanessa. Go away. And that's like Vanessa turning evil is also just such a dumbass and rushed way of doing it because at the end the puppet possesses her, which I will get into here in a second. The like it just happens so fast and like Vanessa turning evil in concept would make sense because of I mean she's probably going to be Vanny at one point if they want to go down that route. I mean anything's on the table, but the jump scares. Let's talk about the jump scares. Not good. They're not good at all. There's only one that like got me, and they're so cheap. While it is part of the series identity, like that, the whole jump scare thing and whatnot, they're not good. And again, this ending was just bad. Especially, I appreciate the horror aspect of it, going more into that, but it's just lazy. But what I'm saying here is just how I honestly feel. And it does feel good to actually feel so passionate about this and feel that I'm not just some mindless fan who's just gonna eat everything up. That's what I feared about liking the first movie, but and what I kind of feared about going into the second one and hearing all the terrible things is like, what if like I might just ignore it? I don't know. But this is how I genuinely feel about it. But that's enough bitching. Let's actually get into what I did like. And that is the puppet. I've Let's talk about her. We don't get to see the design that we know and love that much because of how it works. And I do think that's a bit disappointing, especially since I think they could have done some really cool things with how she like would slither around. Also, yeah, I'm calling Puppet a she. I know technically speaking, the marionette itself is a boy, but the Charlotte thing, I think it makes more sense that we call Puppet a girl and whatnot. And yeah, I'm calling it Puppet. I have trouble pronouncing the marionette. And here she cannot move unless she possesses someone, and it leads to some really unique ways about it. The actual possessed versions of so she possesses one of McKenna Grace's characters. Wait, no. Yeah, McKenna Grace is in this movie, and she gets possessed, and she has this like puppified look. I think that's super cool. I think that's such a cool way of putting about it, and they also explain how you could keep the puppet at bay with the music box that Charlotte liked, which that's from the games. Wind up the music box, and yeah, I like that they actually explain what the puppet does too, and that's that they are the conductor for the band. It also leads to why the toys are alive, and it's mainly Charlotte controlling them. Charlie is the main villain or antagonist here, and I think that's such a great direction for a FNAF 2 based story to go off of, is to base it mostly on Charlotte. I thought it'd be Garrett from the first movie because uh, I just you just imagine that Garrett would return as a ghost, but I think it works very well and is a great way to set up conflict. Again, while the wizards are underused, they're pretty damn good. And look, there's this scene where Mike is like, "Okay, I'll track the toys from the office." It's FNAF 2. It's literally just the gameplay from FNAF 2, and it is one. The Office is literally one to one. It's like watching one of those Gmod recreation maps, but again, it's fully realized and I love it. The vents are in the right place. They have the buttons, they have the poster, everything. I think even the TVs and like the way from the cup and the fan, the way that things are put up. They didn't recreate The Office from the first movie that well, just cause I mean, they wouldn't have to. It's a movie. It's a different medium. But here, yeah, no, they do it well. And it's literally just like he's flashing his flashlight, right? He looks down at the monitor. He looks up. Oh, Withered Freddy's grabbing at him. Like he literally recreates that pose. And I look at him. I look at my friend. He's like, "Hey, look, it's the Funko pose." It's so cool. He puts on the mask. They go away. Withered Bonnie shows up in the vents. Withered Chica doesn't show up in the vents either. It's not like fully 100% like he doesn't check the light and then puts the mask. He puts the mask. No, he doesn't even put the mask on for Withered Bonnie. Yeah, and of course he puts on the mask for Withered Chica, trying to keep them at bay. But Foxy doesn't recognize. Foxy knows it's not it. Yarg, it'd be the night guard. It'd be the night guard. It'd be the night guard. Like it was just such a treat to watch that scene. I think it's one of the best scenes in the movie because it's like watching Five Nights at Freddy's 2's gameplay play out in real time again, and that's again, these animatronics look absolutely spectacular. Withered Freddy doesn't have a neck, which looks weird, but whatever. They look great. Another thing helping with that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 gameplay thing, um, there is a very quick and you miss it Shadow Bonnie cameo. So Mike is sitting there. He hears a noise. He looks up, turns his flashlight on. You see his teeth. You literally see Shadow Bonnie just vanish right then and there, and people gasp. People was like, "Oh, it's him!" It's such a great way to do a cameo and Easter egg like that. But you want to talk about cameos? You want to fucking talk about cameos? Circus Baby, Circus Baby shows up in this film, and hold on. This is not just a cameo, but I think it's very obviously set up. So Vanessa's doing the dream thing, which I'm glad they actually went back to talk about in this film. That Mike was doing, and that was to confess. Trying to think of the word. Go up to the past or whatever. And here, Vanessa has a what I think is a memory of her going into a closet, which is another thing. She goes into a closet that holds baby. They're probably going to take some elements from the fourth closet because if I remember correctly, the real no, what was it was the real Charlie, because Charlie died in the books. She was already dead. She was a robot the entire time, and yeah, right. She was a robot. I forgot, but baby is in the fourth closet. She's in a closet, and she looks spectacular and phenomenal, man. And this is what does this mean for the lore? Like, what does this mean for this movie's versions of the lore? Um, so Michael's we I feel like Abby is supposed to be the Elizabeth, right? And I could see that they make it so that Abby becomes baby. I mean, it switch the first two letters around, Abby, baby. I actually, you know what? No, actually, that would probably be what they most likely go for. Abby might be lured to baby. She might want it, and then she gets trapped, and then Mike might have to deal with the guilt of losing his sister, and kind of the way, and kind of take Michael Afton's role in Sister Location and put it here. Or Vanessa becomes Circus Baby, or they pull this twist out of their ass. Vanessa had a little sister too, who probably died long ago due to this baby animatronic. Um, this also does, I think, mm, it's a dream, so who knows? But I think this also does confirm the that the sister location exists in this universe, because not only has there been multiple changes since the original Fazbear shut down. I mean, that's why we got the one from the first movie. I think here it is implied that yeah, there was another secret location, sister location about Circus Baby, or at least that was going to be what was planned. So yeah, FNAF 3. Let's talk about what I think she's going to be a major player in FNAF 3, which makes sense. Baby is such an important character to the lore that I'm glad they are introducing in this universe, and I am excited to see where they go with her. And it just makes the most sense to just put her as a main villain for the third movie. Alongside, I mean, it was obvious. We know why. We know that this is where they were gonna go, but Springtrap, and that's Spring. So the post credits is these people breaking into the location from the first movie, and they're talking about getting stuff for an attraction, and they find Springtrap there. And let's talk about his design. So he's covered in uh he's covered in plastic wrap, which is intentional. It's supposed to hide his design a little, maybe if they want to change things up. But he looks great. But why did in my showing people were getting rowdy during my showing, which is fine. We were all excited, you know. It's okay to be excited for Springtrap showing up because from what I can tell, he looks great. Because I had to go look. I looked at high resolution pictures later. They turned the lights on during this, so it made it really hard to see what he actually looked like. But yeah, that Springtrap's coming back, and I'm so excited. It had a green tint, so yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 I think will be a combination of 3 and Sister Location, because I don't think the animatronics for um I don't think the phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 will exactly work in the context of FNAF. Like for a movie, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll do the phantoms actually. Vanessa's evil now. She's possessed by the puppet. I'm curious on where this will go, and I'm also let's talk about the very ending of in a minute. She and again, while I dislike the ending, I do think she probably will become baby in the third film. But I don't know that Abby thing. I think that's what they might most likely will do. But the Vanessa becoming baby would honestly make more sense as I'm just trying to think. Vanessa becoming baby would help with William and Michael, because then you'd have the Afton family there. Yeah, I yeah. Again, I think the ending for FNAF 2 with the fucking souls of the animatronics kind of getting released was super undermined, and now we get to the final bit of credits, which is scored by "It's Been So Long Since Last I Sang This Song, Lost to the Monster, to the Man Behind the Slaughter." So yeah, I'm so glad. But here we hear Henry explain to the audience that he used to work with William and now he's going to go after Charlotte. So I think this could lead to a Pizza Sim kind of connection, honestly, but again, I really dislike how they handled this, where it's like, no shit, dude. We knew Henry is William's partner. If this is a movie strictly for the fans, why are you? I guess it's to canonize it in this universe, just to say like, hey, yeah, this is what's gonna be in this universe. So that kind of makes it a bit. I don't know. I just don't like the execution about how this went, especially for a movie-going audience, where it's like, oh, that's who he was. Why do I have to sit through the entire credits just to know something that I think could have been explained to me a lot earlier? It was super underwhelming there, but overall, FNAF 2 is a bigger mess. It's a much messier film than the first, with things that I certainly do dislike more. Again, mainly near the end. I think the middle section was great. Everything with the animatronics was great. The way they handled the lore with Charlotte, I think, was great. But the human drama, the actual characters, and the way that they like anything that's not relating to FNAF just sucks in this film. And even then, again, the ending is just bad. I had fun, and there is a genuine attachment, and again, I can't necessarily hate it because I love Five Nights at Freddy's too much, and I just hope that I hope they actually listen to the feedback for the third film. Um, yeah, so this is my last movie review for the year here, guys. I'm gonna be sort of uploading another review alongside this actually, but and just kind of see where that goes. However, yeah, this is the last review for the year, and I'm gonna have two more videos out after this. One's a room tour. Finally, again, I will just do that by myself and kind of yeah. It's gonna be busy with family here and everything, but I am gonna have a 2026 plans video coming out, which I do think is important to talk about. But until then,